For Mazda to continue creating one of this, they have to make one of these. And now Mazda is faced with one dilemma: adapt or die. At a certain turning point where car manufacturers need to stay relevant and make money. They need to appease investors of some sort and, well, really sell vehicles at a volume. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but back in 2017, Mazda launched Vision Coupe concept. Now, that concept vehicle had a rear-wheel drive architecture with a straight six engine at the front. Now, at the time, there was huge rumors in Mazda that they were going to launch a Mazda 6 version of that very car. But fast forward a few years later, we have these, the Mazda CX-90 and the Mazda CX-60. In today's video, we will be focusing more on the Mazda CX-90. Now, we only have the CX-60 just to point out a few minor differences. Now, these cars have already been out for around 2 years here in the Philippines. So I'm just gonna briefly explain some design elements, some differences between the two. We're not really gonna delve deep into some details, but as for how the car looks, as you can see, a huge grille up front, a long hood to house the longitudinal straight six engine, 21-inch two-tone wheels here, and 20-inch wheels for the CX-60. Now, the CX-90 has a bit of a more elegant design simply because of how long it is. Now, that's very apparent when you look at the side. If you look at the side profile of the car, that third window is much larger than here in the CX-60. That's thanks to the third row seats found in the back. Now, let's check out the inside of the CX-90. Now, inside the Mazda CX-90, again, you are greeted by a very beautiful leather-lined interior, as with the other Mazda models. But there are a few differences compared to the other vehicles in the lineup. As for this, well, remember, the CX-60 and the CX-90 is the first time that Mazda is moving up market. You know, they're taking the battle against Lexus, BMW, Mercedes, Audi. So with that, you know, you have much better materials inside here. Not as if Mazda has already lacked in materials in their other vehicles, no. But for this, you could really tell the craftsmanship inside. First up, you have your 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster, a heads-up display, and this Bentley-esque like steering wheel that is wrapped in a black leather and tan two-tone. Now here in the middle, you have your 12.3-inch infotainment display with Mazda Connect. And down here is your climate control, which is easily accessible. You have big buttons all throughout that are nice to touch. And down here is your drive mode selector, which is called Mazda Intelligent Drive or Mi Drive. So if you put it up top, you have your sport mode, down is normal mode, and you also have an off-road mode. Now, I'm not entirely sure about the off-road capabilities of this car, but well, at least it has it. Down here is your hill descent control and your 360-degree view monitor, which you can access at any time. Over here is your rotary dial, which you can access your infotainment display and your volume control knob. Right down here is your center console, and here is your glove box, which is actually very spacious. You can put a lot of stuff inside. And well, as you can see, for this interior, this is the tan interior. You can actually spec the CX-90 with the white interior should you want to. As for the CX-60, if you choose the gasoline variant, you have the black interior. But if you have the diesel, you have this exact same interior found in the CX-90. But as for the CX-90, it's only available with the gasoline straight six. Now let's check out the back. Now here in the back of the CX-90 is where some of my complaints really start. First up, yes, you are in a captain's seat. It's very comfortable, it's well padded, but at the same time, everything has to be manually adjusted. So, you know, if you want to adjust your seat, your recline, you want to put your seat forward or backward, everything has to be adjusted manually, which honestly at this price point, at this segment, I wish you could have done with an automatic seat. But on the bright side, you have ventilated seats, which you don't get on some crossovers. And it's actually very useful in this hot and humid tropical climate. Right down here is also your USB-C ports and your twin cup holders right here, as well as a very deep glove box, which is actually quite surprising for a rear-wheel drive-based architecture vehicle. Some complaints I have again is, well, the legroom isn't exactly the most spacious. Now, I would expect it to be more spacious for a car this size. I mean, this is a massive vehicle and the legroom isn't very impressive. Yes, it's still spacious, but for the size of the vehicle, I would have expected something more. Again, this is my driving position, but I would expect for other driving positions, it would still be the same issue. What's nice though is, in the back, you can enjoy this huge panoramic sunroof and a beautifully sounding 12-speaker Bose audio system. Now, this being the CX-90, fun fact, this also has a third row. So, you can just put your seat back and put someone here in the third row. So let's go check out the third row. Now, here in the third row, now you wouldn't want to get stuck here on the long road trip, but then again, it is still more spacious than a lot of third row SUVs in the market. At least you still have your aircon vents down here, as well as a USB-C port to charge your phone. You also have your cup holders on both sides, which is good if you have, a takeout meal. But overall though, in the third row, there's not a lot more to say. I still prefer being in the first and second rows of this car. Now let's check out the trunk space. As for the cargo space of the CX-90, well, as you can see with the third row seats up, there is still a decent amount of room. Not a lot, but you can still put in, quite a few bags, as you can see. You can put in some hand carry bags if you want to, but if you need more space, you can actually fold these seats down easily. It's not automatic seats, by the way. You have to still adjust manually, pull it down. But now with the third row down, there is a lot more space. You can put a lot of bags inside of there. If you're in a long road trip, you can fit so much stuff here in the back. Now, let's go check out how it drives. Okay, so let's get things straight. That 3.3 straight-six engine is a gem. Not only is it very refined when you're driving around the metro, but at the same time, when you're out on the highway, the response, the power it gives you, that sort of heft, it feels so good. It's so, that linear power delivery, I like it. It's very, very good. Now, you can imagine if this were stuck in, say, if Mazda continued that rear-wheel drive program for the Mazda 6, would have been awesome. But at the same time, they've still done it here. I mean, this is Mazda's new rear-wheel drive architecture. So it's an all-wheel drive rear bias system. So when you meet a corner, Mazda has this sort of, moniker called kinematic posture control. So it applies the inner rear brakes to whatever corner you're taking. So if you take a corner left, it's gonna apply the left rear brakes to give that sort of rotation. And you can actually feel that. So if you take a corner, you could really feel that rotation it gives you, and the engine's power just to exit out of the corner, very, very good. It's something that you wouldn't expect in a crossover. And I think for other crossovers, the only time you could really get that sort of dynamic feeling is, I think, if you're going to spend for maybe a Porsche Cayenne. But of course, that being said, like as I said a while ago, that comes with some drawbacks. The suspension could be a bit stiff for some. And I agree. For me, I also find it quite stiff. Because in my mind, I'm geared like, okay, I'm driving a crossover. I'm driving a sort of car that's supposed to be more comfortable out on the road. But at the same time, it's not something that you really feel in this car. The only time it really, really rides well is when the road is actually very smooth. But I guess that goes for a lot of other vehicles as well. So here, we're gonna take a corner. And it drives absolutely well. You have that sort of point and shoot feeling with this car. I think that's largely part as well with that engine being mounted behind the front axle. So it's technically a front mid-engine vehicle. The 3.3 liter straight six makes around 280 horsepower. In my opinion, and in the way it drives, the way it feels, I think it makes more than that. In the US, there's a Turbo S variant that makes around 320 horses. This one is around 280, so I could imagine how that would drive. If this already feels fast, this already feels quick, what more would the Turbo S variant would be? But at the same time, of course, power is in everything. And that's what Mazda does a great job in. You can tell that if you drive their other vehicles across the line. You have the Mazda 3, CX-30, the Mazda 6. All of them drive very, very good, but even though some of them lack in power, of course, not including the Mazda 6 Turbo. The 2.5 Turbo is actually very fast as well. But here I am. I mean, I'm actually enjoying how this crossover drives, because not only does it feel quite refined on the road, it's very enjoyable. It drives almost like a sort of performance-oriented sedan. The moment you give it the beans or you put it in the sport mode using this Mi Drive, not only does it focus more on the acceleration, the throttle response, but if you take a corner now, look at that. Oh, wow! Very nice. And the transmission is very responsive as well. So if you use the paddle shifters, fourth, downshift back to third. Yes, there's still quite a bit of a delay compared to a DCT or a PDK, but I think for a slush box, where this 8-speed Skyactiv transmission, I think, is still very, very good to drive. It still gives you that performance, that sort of response that drivers would look for. And again, here, like right now, you also have lane departure warning, rear cross traffic alert. You have all the safety systems in this car. So if you're out with the family, it's a very safe car to be in. Not only has it, you know, passed with flying colors in the crash tests for US and Euro NCAP, and it's not very intrusive either. So there's that. Because for some other cars, the safety systems could get a bit intrusive, but for this, no, not really. But then again, there's also the matter of the fact that the CX-90 is a wide vehicle. There are some lanes that the lane departure warning could get a little bit haywire because the vehicle is so wide, so it's hard. Sometimes it's a bit hard to keep it in lane. So there are times that the lane departure warning would try to intervene even if, you know, you're just trying to keep it in lane. That's because the tires are already out of the lane. I mean, then again, we're in the Philippines. Roads here isn't as wide as they are in the US or maybe some parts of Europe. So there's that as well. But even though the car is very long and it's actually very wide, I still find it quite easy to drive. Yes, I know some might still have a hard time and, you know, you might need to get used to it. But in my case, I think it's still very easy to drive, and that's what I like about the CX-90. But then again, if you want something smaller, you want something a bit more easier to drive and still be in the exact same vehicle with the exact same powertrain and interior, you have the Mazda CX-60. So the Mazda CX-60 is something you get if you want a 2-row SUV. You know, you get the CX-90 if you want the 3-row SUV. You know, with this, you have captain's chairs in the rear, a 3rd row. With the CX-60, that's it. You only have the rear seats. So right now, we're driving with our friend right there, Aris. Thank you for bringing his car. He brought along his Mazda CX-60 diesel, and this one is the gasoline variant. With the CX-60, you could get it with both the gasoline and diesel variants. For the CX-90, it's only available here with the gasoline variant. There isn't exactly an engine that, you know, does this perform better? No. For me, I think both the diesel and the gasoline performs the same. So it's up to personal preference. Do you want a sort of a more efficient vehicle? Maybe you get the diesel. But what's nice about both the diesel and gas variants is, for both the CX-60 and the CX-90, they're considered as hybrids because this has the M Hybrid Boost motor. So it's a 48-volt motor that makes around 15-ish horsepower. So it assists the engine when accelerating. So what's nice about that is there's less turbo lag. But at the same time, what's also very nice about that is it's coding free, coding exempt. And it's fun, you know, to drive this sort of vehicle that isn't, you know, some boring-ish car or hybrid. I'm not saying all hybrids are boring, but there are some vehicles that are a bit vanilla. But with this CX-60, CX-90, there's fun involved, and I like it very much. There. After spending a few days with the Mazda CX-90, I realized the reason why Mazda had to create this very car. I know as enthusiasts, we wanted that sort of rear-wheel drive sedan or that Mazda 6 straight 6 that we're looking at. But no, they have to do this car, and very much so. This car has been selling very well, you know, it's performing very well. It's Mazda's first foray into the straight 6 rear-wheel drive architecture, but at the same time, Mazda has done a very good job as their first ever product in this sort of segment. And that, to me, makes me very happy that, you know, with this car, I'm sure that Mazda will be able to make more fun cars down the line. I'm looking at you, Mazda Rotary Project Team. So this is Carlos Divino from YugaAuto, and I'll see you in the next video. Please do follow us on Facebook, Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, and I'll see you in the next video.